Removing negative items from your credit report is super simple, and we use the same method to remove every single negative item on your credit report. Just plain. All right, in case you didn't know, my name is Kristen. I fix credit for a living, so if you want to increase your credit score, remove your negative items, then number one, pay attention to this video, and number two, if you want to see if I can fix your credit, then the link is at the top of the screen. Now let's get started. Every single negative item has its own method and strategy that needs to be used to remove it from the credit report permanently, because we're not looking for a temporary situation to a permanent problem. No, we are looking for a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that is removing these things permanently from your credit report. All right, so let's take a look at this. We're going to go over these each step by step. All right, now if you have collections, charge-offs, repossessions, student loans, these all fit into that. So pay attention, watch to the end, and make sure that you like this video and subscribe if you personally want to remove your negative items. All right, so let's get started. The very first thing that we are going to look at is third-party collections. What fits into a third-party collection? That is going to be like medical, utility. You didn't pay the gym. And we actually have two different ways that we're going to go about this. Number one, we're using the validation of debt method directly with whoever that creditor is. And a bit of a caveat here. You want to go and look at your balance. If we're talking like $21,000, you might want to wait until it's outside the statute of limitations, because you don't want to put the limelight on you and to basically get sued, right? So if it is within the statute of limitations and you have a high balance, only go with the credit bureau dispute. However, if it's outside the statute of limitations or you don't have an astronomical balance, then we can use the validation of debt process directly with the collector, and we're also going to dispute directly with the credit bureaus using the factual process, and we also can go after them using what I call the unknown process. You need to prove that this is mine. Where is the documentation that proves the ownership? Okay. Now, what about debt buyer collections? With debt buyer collections, it's a little bit different, because you have to understand they have more vested into this because they came out of pocket. Even if it was, 30 cents on the dollar, they came out of pocket, they paid for this, and they want to collect, and they have the ability to collect up to 100%, right? So again, we don't want to be disputing directly with them if it is within the statute of limitations for your state for debt collection, okay? So how do we dispute this then? If we're not using the validation of debt, what do? It's really simple. We're actually going to dispute directly with the credit bureaus, and there's a couple of things that we can be looking at. So go and pull up your credit report and see if you have portfolio recovery or NCA, Midland, second round, Calvary. These are all going to be debt buyers, right? Now look at the actual account. Do you have a past due? If so, inaccurate. Remove it. Is there late payments, or are there late payments in the payment history? If so, and you don't have an actual, payment repayment agreement with them, then that needs to go. Is there a limit? How? If this is a closed, non-revolving account, there cannot be a limit. It's not that type of account. If it says that it's open, if it says that it's open, then hey, guess what? This was never an open account. Collections are closed, and by default, they're already late. So it shouldn't stipulate anything about being open or late. It's a collection. It is late. Those are the things that you can factually dispute to get them removed. Now, how about late payments? Now, I forgot to put one thing on here, and we're going to add student loans at the end. The way that you go about late payments is very simple. We are going to argue factually that the credit bureaus need to prove that you were ever late. And how do they do that? They need to furnish a copy of that original creditor or data furnisher's bank statement proving when your payment came in late. Obviously, they're not going to do that. No one's going to give you a copy of their bank statement, okay? Outside of that, anything they can send or say is hearsay. A statement anybody can generate. I can generate a statement right now stating that the president owed me $10,000 and he never paid. That's not going to do anybody anything, okay? So unless there's some sort of proof, then hey, it's hearsay. All right, so we're going to say something such as, I was never late on X date unless you can furnish documentation proving directly from the original creditor or the data furnisher that I did not pay on X date on time, then this account needs to be updated to paid on time, never late for inaccuracy. I know that's a mouthful, but this is the way that you factually dispute and remove negative items. Now, you can also dispute late payments to remove the entire account. So instead of update or correct, we're just saying delete, okay? Now, how about when there are multiple late payments? Well, I would actually recommend not going after more than just 2 late payments or 3 late payments. Otherwise, you're going to have to remove the entire account unless you want to spend 3 years or at least 12 months going after each batch of late payments, okay? Now, what about charge-offs? Charge-offs, these are fun, okay? You have to dispute these the right way. We have very specific things that we can go after, such as date last paid, date last active, date last reported, notice of dispute, first date of delinquency, monthly payment on a closed account, activity in the payment history after the account was closed, so on and so forth, okay? So we are only going to dispute charge-offs factually with the bureaus, and if it's outside the statute of limitations, you can use the validation of debt method and go directly to the original creditor. Okay, now you can also dispute with the original creditor using a 623 template, but I would personally recommend using the validation of debt method instead. Okay, now what about inquiries? Now, if you are going to dispute directly with the credit bureaus, and I have a full workshop on how to dispute and remove inquiries, you can basically go after permissible purpose for reporting, because there has to be an actual purpose that the inquiry is on your credit report. What is the purpose? If it doesn't fit employment, insurance, court order, or firm offer of credit, I believe there's one more, then it does not belong on your credit report. You had to have received prior to a firm offer of credit, right? So that means that you definitely got the credit line. If not, it does not belong on your credit report, okay? Now, you can also go directly to whoever is reporting it and ask for the actual, application. If they don't have it, then also no proof that you ever authorized that inquiry. Now, how about bankruptcies? Bankruptcies are fun because they're extremely, extremely impactful to your credit report. So removing them, your credit score should go up, right? Should being the key word. But they are so difficult that when they come off, it's like, yay, I got it off. But we only have a couple of ways of going after them. So my recommendation is go and get your actual docket, your paperwork from pacer.gov. You are also going to suppress LexisNexis, okay? So we're gonna go and we're gonna freeze LexisNexis, we're gonna freeze the other, freeze and suppress the other ones, and you are going to match what pacer.gov documentation states versus your credit report. You're going to notice that the court name is wrong and potentially the filing date and the docket number, okay? These are the things that you are going to go after. Now, as I said, I forgot to put student loans on here. So how do you go after student loans? Well, there's a couple of different ways, but we have to look at 2 things. Are you correcting or are you removing? If you are correcting, then go and look at the late payment history. Does it say okay 90? If so, that's inaccurate. Why? Because it stipulates that you were on time when in fact you were late, and then you were 90 days late. So they actually don't report you as late until you're 90 days late, but that still means that the payment history is inaccurate, and you can use that to get that 90-day late payment removed and updated to paid on time, never late, right? Now, what if you want to remove that account? What if it's 90, 120, so on and so forth? Well, you can use that same exact thing, right, as far as the payment history goes, but instead of updating, you're going to remove it, okay? Now, when it comes to like the collections reported by the Department of Education, that's a little bit different. We are going to factually dispute it. So you're going to follow the same guidelines that you would a charge-off, okay? So these are the main things that we would remove from a credit report, okay? If you have questions about this, post it down in the comments, and make sure that you smash that like, subscribe if you haven't done so that you can increase your credit score. But again, if you want to see if I can personally increase your credit score and remove your negative items, then hey, link is at the top of the screen right now, all right? But I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.